Tonight, even before the 112th Congress is sworn in, it is clear what the next big battle will be. Raising the debt ceiling. The debt what?
I understood the debt ceiling situation perfectly before I talked to her. Now
Is there a rule against having a Treasury Secretary who speaks English?
Not now, guys.
Are we doing a press release on raising the debt ceiling? Because I don't understand a word of it.
No press release. When's the vote scheduled?
Treasury figures the interest on the debt will hit the legal limit at midnight tomorrow. So they want the president to press for the vote right now.
Which, of course, is a ridiculous idea.
Of course. The leadership wants to schedule it at the last minute.
How crazy is that?
They always like to schedule it at the last minute just when the government's about to default.
That way it's too dangerous for any senator to try to stop it.
Or stick an amendment on it.
There's just enough time for a couple of House and Senate speeches about how awful it is that we've maxed out the national credit card, a quick vote to raise the limit on the credit card.
It's a one-sentence bill. Just changes the 7 to an 8.
Trillion.
Yeah.
Why does Treasury want the president to read over a 20-page memo on a one-sentence bill?
No, they like to run the worst-case scenario.
In case it doesn't pass?
Yeah, you know, the immediate collapse of the U.S. economy, followed by Japan sinking into the sea, followed by a worldwide depression, the likes of which no mortal can imagine, followed by week 2.
So this debt ceiling thing is routine or the end of the world?
Both.
Back when I wrote that scene for the West Wing, passing an increase of the debt ceiling used to be routine, because not doing so is the end of the world as we know it. A world financial calamity that would plunge us into a depression unlike any we've ever seen. Congress, at its outright craziest, has never spoken aloud or even dreamed of taking such a risk. But that was before our debt hit the 14 trillion mark and before an election that has delivered Tea Partiers to Congress, most of whom didn't know there was a debt ceiling until I raised the question about how they would vote on it on election night. Now, with enough Tea Partiers talking about maybe not raising the debt ceiling, the White House is really worried.
This is not a game. You know, the debt ceiling is not something to toy with. That's if we hit the debt ceiling, that's essentially defaulting on our obligations, which is totally unprecedented in American history. The impact on the economy would be catastrophic. I mean, that would be a worse financial and economic crisis than anything we saw in 2008.
And tonight, on Fox News, some conservatives are worried, too.
The Republicans have to be really careful here. In the end, the debt limit is going to be raised. There's no question about it. You cannot not pass it because it is catastrophic. It means that American debt is in question, and that has never happened in our history. It can't happen. So when Republicans make demands on this, they have to have in the back of their heads that if the demands are seen as unreasonable or too far of a reach, Obama could call their bluff, and then the reaction would be to blame the Republicans.
Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz of Florida and Republican Congressman Michael Burgess of Texas. Congressman Burgess, how are you going to vote on the debt ceiling?
Well, Lawrence, we're still a ways away from it. My inclination is to vote no, but I do understand the importance of this vote. So clearly I'm going to be considering it. You know, this is one of those times, because we have a Republican House and a Democratic Senate, we do have to be bipartisan. There is not going to be a House-only vote or a Senate-only vote. There will, of necessity, have to be agreement and compromise between those two bodies. It's not going to be easy. I think Charles Krauthammer is correct that we on my side do need to be careful, but make no mistake, the president needs to be careful also. This is a time of great peril. Look, there are plenty of people out there who believe the fiscal condition of our country is so perilously close to ruin anyway that this vote actually pales in comparison if we just simply continue to increase the debt. I have voted for the debt limit, increasing the debt limit in the past. It was one of the worst votes I ever took. This is not something that I enter into lightly. I do understand the importance of the vote, but let's be honest, there has to be a significant curtailment of spending, not just discretionary spending, entitlement spending, and that includes the president's protected health care law.
Congresswoman Schultz, do you think Republicans like Congressman Burgess, who have bitten the bullet and voted for debt ceiling increases in the past, will be able to prevail on enough Republicans and you will be able to bring enough Democrats to a vote to get this thing passed in the House when necessary?
Well, I think what you heard my colleague say is that he's leaning towards voting against it. So, I mean, so far, he seems like the rest of the Republicans that I've heard over the last several days, like he's responding to the stranglehold that the Tea Party members have over the Republican Party right now. So, you know, responsibility is thrown out the window, and they are literally willing to jeopardize what the full faith and credit of the United States means, Lawrence. So, you know, what Dr. Burgess has laid out is that we either, and that's what I've heard him say, we either vote to raise the debt ceiling, but only if we privatize Social Security and turn Medicare into a voucher program. I mean, those are simply unacceptable non-starters that are absolutely going to damage the safety net that American seniors have in this country, and it's the first-class example of what the Republicans are really all about.
Congressman Burgess.
Well, wait. You know, let me respond to that, because that's just sheer nonsense, and the Congresswoman knows that is true. But realistically, the damage that was done in the last 7 months when an additional $1 trillion was added to the debt, and we got nothing for it. Do you see new infrastructure? Do you see jobs? Do you see new schools?
Really?
This is the problem that is out there. Federal spending is completely out of control, and if there are not safeguards, I'm prepared to vote against the increase in the debt limit, absolutely.
Well, Congressman Burgess, as you know, it's easy to vote against the debt ceiling, and very frequently, you know, almost half of the Senate votes against it because they know one simple thing, what Charles Krauthammer has said, which is that it is going to pass.
Well,
and
Senator
so
Obama voted against the debt limit in 2006.
That's right. Barack Obama cast one of those convenient votes against it in the Senate because he knew it was going to pass. I've seen both Republicans and Democrats vote both ways on it, depending on who was in power, but they always know it's going to pass. Do you feel that within your caucus there is any serious threat to it actually passing? Do you think your caucus is capable of actually jeopardizing the world economy by not passing it?
Well, look, the economy of the United States is perilously close to ruin in any case. I think this is our opportunity to pull us back from the brink. And using the leverage, we have so few tools at our disposal. Let's face it, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the White House. This is going to be our one opportunity to really dial back the spending level, and that is, I think, the most important thing for me to see as this debate goes forward.
Congresswoman Schultz, it looks like a game of chicken may be coming up here, because this is, as we call it on the Hill, a must-pass bill. Each side knows it must pass, which means each side can make demands. President Obama and the Democrats can make demands that the debt ceiling pass as a clean, standalone bill. Republicans can make demands that it pass only with attached spending cuts. How do you see this game playing out, and do you think the Democrats can hold the line and get a clean debt ceiling passed without any draconian spending cuts attached to it by Republicans?
Well, if the Republicans realize that they are in the majority now in the House and that they must be responsible and that they can't just sit on the sidelines and fold their arms and make criticisms, then possibly. But I think that the danger here, and you know, they've shut down the government before. Let's remember back when Newt Gingrich was Speaker. They've shut down the government before. They are reckless. They've demonstrated that they are willing to engage in reckless behavior, and they're also willing to say anything regardless of truth. Because the reality is last year we created over 1 million private sector jobs. I mean, we got significant economic turnaround from the Recovery Act,
including
look, if
you're going to tell stories, start out with Once Upon a Time. This is pure fantasy.
Dr. Burgess,
about the job
creation. I did not interrupt you. So as I was saying, what we did last year was we went well on our way towards turning this economy around. If the Republicans are so irresponsible that they are going to jeopardize the full faith and credit of the United States by not raising the debt ceiling, then that is going to be on them, because they are in charge of the House of Representatives now. I hope that they're willing to be responsible and do the right thing. We're going to focus on spending cuts because we need to make sure that we get a handle on spending, but we also need to make sure we do that responsibly. If what they mean by spending cuts is privatizing Social Security and turning Medicare into a voucher program, which is absolutely what you just alluded to, Mike, then we are going to have a serious problem in America.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it right there for
look,
tonight.
Democrats have two branches of government right now. It's hard to see how it's the Republicans' responsibility.
Well, it would be
this
great
would
if
be
we
the
could come
president. This would be
I
ultimately
hate to have to cut you both off. We have to wrap it there.
If
I'm
this
sorry.
does not pass, he is obligated to work with us.
Okay, we'll see.
All right. Now we have an agreement. We are all going to stop talking. Congressman Michael Burgess, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And please come back as soon as you've decided how you're going to vote on the debt ceiling increase. And Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat of Florida, thank you, as always, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.